And those of you with the blue name tags are just here to kind of cheer people on and pay attention and hopefully ask questions later on. We are hoping to scale this up, and this is a huge change from how we've done things in the past. For the few of you who have come for more than one Better SG meeting, this is a different way of doing things. We've been doing projects for a long time. This project, so I built 2BU with the team, was a different process. And it was a very organic process where we allowed people to find other volunteers and connect. But it was a very chaotic process. It was a process that lacked a little bit of structure and clarity. And as a result, new volunteers had no idea what to do when they joined us. So they'd all kind of join and be like, wow, there's so much energy and excitement over there. And I don't quite know how to get there. And then they'd all kind of stand and look at the energy in other projects and then slowly disappear, which is not great. I wanted all of the new volunteers to come in, feel the excitement, and then join something that they were interested in and build it. So, oh, hello. Again, we missed the recording start. How do we turn this off? Oh, come up there. Oh, and the infinite Gorax has begun. It's like Black Mirror. Okay. Those of you who have not yet seen the latest season of Black Mirror. Yeah, spoiler alert. What was it? Okay, so we've changed the way we do projects. And this is the start of that new way. It's basically stealing entirely from things like Y Combinator, entrepreneurship, entrepreneur first, and the incubator process, where we get people who've done something to demonstrate what they've done after 6 months, and those people who want to do something to come up here and pitch and share the idea. The difference between us and YC and EF and the rest is that this is an entirely non-profit volunteer movement. The way in which we build things, the people that we're building it for, and the metrics that we use to evaluate success are totally different. As a result, this is still an experimental process, but still figuring it out. But this rigor of having a demo and a pitch is the start of hopefully getting teams to move toward building products and building prototypes, building something that they can showcase. We've had teams that have been working on ideas for a long time, and that's fantastic. But sometimes it's a little bit too long without showing what they've been building. And then the rest of the community doesn't know what they've been working on. So the demonstration is important. We've chosen 6 months. It's an arbitrary time, maybe too short for some teams, too long for other teams. But at 6 months, hopefully somebody has something to show. And it can be something as simple as a prototype. It could be sketches, could be mock-ups, could be a clickable prototype, could be a full working product, or at least the key functions of a working product. But we'll figure it out as we go along. Jin is in panic mode because somebody's trapped in the emergency staircase. Okay. But yeah, so this is the demonstration and pitch data you'll see. And every 6 months, we're going to do this kind of repeatedly. Today, we didn't invite anybody from social good organizations because we're, as I said, we're figuring it out. But what we're going to do from the next pitch and demo day onwards is that if your product was for a particular community, it is for undereducated women, we will try and find a nonprofit group, a charity or a volunteer organization that focuses on that and bring them in here to see the demo so that they can feel what it's like when you pitch your product and share with it. And we'll also try to bring them in for the pitch so that they can be onboarded as a customer from the start. We can interview them, engage them, and understand what their needs are. So in future pitch and demo days, you'll see people wearing, what color name tag is it? No, the SDO one, green. Green name tags. Today, we don't have any green name taggers, but in future events, you'll see people with green name tags. And those will be the people who are eventually our customers, people who specialize in a particular social domain and hopefully will take our project and run with it. We've had a few projects that were done like that. So 2BU is one example. We built it primarily for ourselves and for the community that we cared about. And eventually the interfaith, interracial, interreligious group in Singapore called One People now owns the product. And so yesterday I got a Google Analytics alert warning that there's an unusual spike in traffic. And I checked and they are running classes on it. So they're running workshops for 100 people over this week. And so that's what happens when an organization then owns your product. So hoping that this happens for everybody's projects, that you have a customer that really appreciates it. And if not, that's fine. This is for the wider public and it's to educate and enrich the lives of Singaporeans and people beyond. Our hope is also, if we can do this well enough, that these pitch and demo day videos, the products themselves, because they're open source, eventually find their way to other places and make a difference in other communities. Earlier on, when we started at Better SG, I had a volunteer from Nigeria who was very keen to not learn how to build the products, but learn how to build the community. And his entire goal was to figure out how to copy and replicate this community in Nigeria. Happy to support them. And so any of these projects that you guys are building, we're open source because we want them to make a difference in other communities as well. That's about all I can muster up for a 5-minute introduction, Jin. I think I'm running out of words. But so that's the agenda we have for today. Sorry, back one. So that's the agenda we have for today. We'll do the opening agenda. We'll do a demo. At any point, if you kind of want to grab snacks, grab some water, please go ahead. We will take questions and answers, but towards the end, so there'll be a discussion session later on. And we really encourage you to go up to the pitchers, the people who pitched or shared a demonstration, and talk to them. Engage them, ask them questions, share feedback, share ideas. And in particular, if you love something that they're building, just raise your hands and be like, yo, I want to be part of this. This sounds exciting. It sounds interesting. How can I help? Even if it's just, one night a month, one night a week, you've got a little bit of time, you want to contribute to it, please approach them and support them. So we've got 4 projects that will be demonstrating what they've done for the last 6 months. Some have been longer than 6 months. And then we've got a number of projects that will be doing the pitch later on. Bryce is smiling because Mendisphere is one of our longest running projects. Then we have a number of projects that will be doing a quick pitch. Some of these pitches, and these are not your kind of startup pitches like give me $1 million. This is just a startup pitch to say, look, I've got this great idea. I think it'll make this kind of an impact on society. I need some help. Please join me. And then we've got time for networking where it's Q&A. If we really have burning questions during the event itself, so if there's a, you see an idea or you see a demonstration like, I have this incredibly important question, feel free to ask it. There are microphones on all of your tables. You have to press one of the magical buttons, which is, I don't know which one it is. The one with the person on it. So, squash the person and then ask the question. If you have questions, actually, you can also, you can also just shout, I think. Or you can come up here and ask the question. I think we'll figure it out. Like I said, all figuring it out. But with that, I wanted to thank all of you who came, and we're going to get started. So Jin, first one up, we're going to start with the demonstration. Sorry, before we start with the demos, I have a very important group to thank as well, which is Hyper Island. So Echo has been extremely gracious. And I also just found out like 5 minutes ago that Echo is Michael Han's brother. Michael is one of our volunteers as well. So I don't know if that is why, but either way, we're very grateful to have this location. It's incredible. It is also extremely confusing because when you walk in, you're not quite sure what the space is. It's so large and interesting and curious. They've got toys at the front, games at the back, bean bags over there. This could be anything from an art studio to a design thinking workshop place to something else, which it really is. And I'm going to let Echo tell you what it is. Echo, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. You've got a part of that, right? We do a lot of design thinking stuff here. And yeah, sure. Welcome. And while we're starting up the slides, I'll give you a little tour. So the gents are this way, the ladies are this way. And as Gaurav said, these things on your table, I'm not sure if they're not on, turn it around. There should be an on button. So just press that sort of on looking button. And then this will enable you to speak with the online participants. So make sure that you have the person pushed when you speak. Press that. Yep. Okay, so just a little bit, I won't take up too much of your time. Welcome to Hyper Island. This is our space. We've been here for the last 12 years. We are a school from Sweden, so a university in the intersection of design, technology, and business. And we came to Singapore about 11, 12 years ago, and we've been here ever since. Next slide. Is there a clicker? Oh, there you go. And bot is not working. Maybe Jay can help. Thank you. So we, in the 27 years that we've been in Sweden and the sort of 12 years that we've been here, we've graduated a lot of people. So we do a master's program out here in Singapore. It's a master's in digital management. So you get a degree from Hyper Island as well as a degree from Teesside University in the UK. And we believe in experiential learning. I'm not going to show all the slides because I feel like I'm between you and very interesting pitches. If you want to get to know more, you can come to me. We also put flyers here. And so yeah, it's experiential learning and where you will also work on projects. So it's very similar to what you guys are doing. So our courses are built with clients. So out of each of our modules, you would basically be working with a real client. So for example, one of our first modules would be intelligent machines. So that is playing with the newest technology. So we would bring in a client for you to do that with. And then we also have, for example, another module called the business transformation. And last year we brought in the CEO of AirAsia. So he came in and he said, I have all these problems in my business. How would you guys solve it? And then we would kind of introduce different frameworks and tools. And over the course of the module, which is 4 intense days on this campus, we would work on the problems together and pitch back to the CEO. So it's very much real world, experiential, and also hands-on relevant learning. And I won't present all of this, but you guys can come up to me if you're interested in taking a master's or in any of our short courses. They're all IVF subsidized, which means if you're a Singaporean or a PR, you get parts of it paid. And welcome again to Hyper Island.
What are the masters that you offer?
We only offer one in Singapore.
Which is?
Masters in Digital Management.
Masters in Digital Management. All right. Well, thank you so much for having us. Kind of explains the space a little bit. They've got your post-it notes at the back wall, which is always important for design thinking, and a great space. Okay, we're going to get started with the pitches once we exit this scary Black Mirror scenario again and again. While we're loading up the slides, interesting tidbit of information. I was just sharing with Sonia that many years ago, before design thinking was a thing, I took courses from this guy named David Kelly, who later went on to found IDEO. He was a professor at my university teaching. It was not yet called design thinking. It was just product development and design. And he called it symbolic systems, which is a ridiculous name for a course. But yeah, so I took that. And this was before he invented and perfected what is now known as design thinking. So I am an expert in all of the ways not to do design thinking, because in the years before he perfected it, we were his guinea pigs. And every batch, he would change the process every year. And so like the exam would always change and the process would always change. So I know all of these different ways not to do design thinking, which is apparently the wrong answer. But thankfully, we have enough people, both at Hyper Island as well as in our community, who know the right way of doing things. Okay, I've killed enough time. We're going to hand over to Bryce first for Mendisphere. Please.
Hi everyone, please bear with me. I'm going to show a demo today, but I need to use the mouse to sort of navigate backwards, if that's possible. Okay, let me do this. I don't know if it works. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, I look very awkward in person, so all the people online, you won't see this. If not, let me just give a quick demonstration, explanation about what Mendisphere is. So who we are actually trying to help the mental health organizations. And typically right now what we're seeing is during COVID, there was a little trend where mental health started to spike up in like the kind of like prioritized issues that we need to address. And during those periods, the government even started up what they call MOHT. How many of you here have heard of MOHT? Yeah, okay. For those of you who don't know what MOHT is, it's quite a ridiculous name. So it stands for Ministry of Health Office, and that's where the O starts, for Healthcare Transformation. So Ministry of Health is M, and then Office for Healthcare Transformation is OHT. Yeah. Okay, so it's ridiculously long as the name is. We actually managed to work together with them, and they are one of our partners that we are consulting and also getting resources and help for Mendisphere. So Mendisphere right now, what we're doing is we are trying to help these organizations to at least help them list their organization on this platform so that we can direct funders or people who want to donate to mental health towards this platform. And after that, we are planning to get them to have resources to grant grants. So we are going to get people who are familiar with grant applications, and then we're going to direct them to our platform and then get them to help us write down some resources for like what to expect when you apply for a grant. Yeah. On top of that, we're also trying to have a different how to say user type. And we'll have people from the corporate world also coming to our platform to list down services from mental health organizations, whether it's like a 2-day workshop. So you can imagine AIA coming to our platform and say, okay, we need a 2-day mental wellness workshop. We want to list it down. This is our budget. And then the people, only mental health organization registered users will get to see this service request. The public won't be able to see it. So that's what we are sort of building. So I can just run you through. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm Bryce. Sorry. I've been introducing my project. I didn't introduce myself. Yeah. Mendisphere.com, yeah. So I'm currently the project lead, just taken over. I used to be the design lead for this. And I have a co-project lead with me. She's online today, Velda, and also one of my designers, Yen Sing, she's online as well. So I'll just run you all through quickly. This is our homepage, and you'll see Gaurav. By the way, this is mocked up, so some of the things are not real. We have Gaurav here giving us a very nice testimonial. But there you go. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so this is what we built so far. It's a prototype of Figma right now. So we're actually looking for more designers and developers as well. And actually we have, if you go to mendisphere.com right now, you can see that we've done a little bit up already, thanks to our development team as well. And let me just run you all through the other pages. Actually, before I move on, does anybody have any questions so far? No? All good? Yes. Yes, please question. There's no speakers, so it's not online.
So I wanted to ask regarding the organization, double check which organization or just anyone who started
Okay, great question. So for that one, we have it in our registration process, which I will run by later as well. We do ask for every company's UEN number, which is sort of like the Singapore registration for like a business. And then we also ask them specific questions like, where is your office located? And also the name of your company. And if there's a website, can you list all these things? We do let them have a registered account first. But over time, we will try to regulate and then catch those who are like fake or not real. And we're doing this because we want to get quick adoption first. So we're just letting anyone come on and register first.
I see. Maybe you can check a bit, I don't know, some education they have, or maybe some doctor on board or something like that, because it's can be very sensitive topic, no, in mental health.
Yeah, we're considering that in the future. For right now, I think it might be a bit administrative intensive for us. Yeah, thank you so much. Have I answered your question? Okay, good. All right. So just run through. Yeah. Okay, so here we have a couple of organizations, obviously all fake as well. And we even list down whether which one has IPC certification or not. And if you all know what IPC is, it's an institution of a public character. If you donate to IPC organizations, you do get tax rebates. So that's something that is actually attractive that we want to make clear on our platform so that people will come over to also donate, because it's also a form of credibility. Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, we have all this information online available. So you can click here to go to their giving.sg page, or you can go directly to their website as well. And also all their social media. Yeah, so we have all the different information available. Our story, people spotlight. Let's go here. Yeah, so you can also see, and this one is done through our user testing. One of the important things that funders look out for is also who are the people we are working with when we give our money to this organization. So it's important to list down the different people behind the organization. We also need to list down the different projects that they have done in the past. So they also know where the money is going and who is going to be the beneficiary and who's benefiting from it as well. If you go through our registration, it's pretty simple here. Oh, okay. Yeah, strong password. Stay safe, guys. Right, so these are some of the information that we request to get from them. We do let them have a registered account, and over time they will go and verify. If not, what we are also trying out is for our users to also sort of like police each other as well, because it's a community-based thing. So if they find that maybe one organization is fake, they will also, we do recommend that they report it to us. Yeah. Thanks, Jay. Yeah. Sorry, it's a bit tough to move the mouse. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, yeah, better. Yeah, we also ask different questions like how much have you raised in the past, and then also what is your capital amount goal. So this one also helps us to track their progress through Mendisphere as well. And it's something to do with like data analytics that we are looking to do in the future as well, but not at the current stage. But since it's a registration, we do want to gather these data at the earlier stage as well. Okay, so that's almost about it for the demonstration. Does anybody have any questions?
If not, can you tell them a little bit about the pivots that you guys went through? So Mendisphere has been a project for 2 years?
3 years.
3 years. And they started off trying to address the problem of mental health directly.
Yeah, I can share on this. Okay, I'll share a little bit.
So the question was, if Bryce can share a little bit about the pivots that the team has went through, because this project is a 3-year-old project, and they started off trying to address the problem of mental health directly with the website, and quickly realized that was probably not the best idea.
Okay, just to give a little bit more context, I only joined last year. Okay, but I had to study like what happened the past 2 years as well. So what we found out is that they were trying to directly address the issue of mental health by going directly to the people who are struggling in mental health or have mental health illnesses. So they started off by creating, I think, they created two things. One was a directory of mental health resources. Yeah, I can't remember what exactly those resources were. Secondly, the other one was a AI chatbot on Telegram to sort of help people who are struggling in mental health to go there and then speak to the AI. And both of them did not turn out well because of very low traffic. So eventually they decided to stop. One thing we identified that could have been the problem in the whole discovery process or creation of it is the type of maybe research study that was done. So it's very quantitative based, and it's quantitative and survey only based. So a lot of the responses were, I think, attitudinal instead of behavioral. Whereas our version, we actually spoke to mental health founders directly one-to-one. We get them to try our prototype and get them to understand what exactly it was and what their thoughts were on this. And then we also run through this with, I think, some people from GovTech as well and MOHT, so that we got a little bit more product validation on this end. Yeah.
Any questions? If not, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Cool.
Yeah, it's possible.
Okay, thanks for sharing. I think so what I understood from your presentation was that the problem you are trying to solve is like connecting the organizations that need mental health services like workshops with those who can provide it. But then how do you do the matching between those who need the services and those who can provide the services?
Okay, so what we are trying to build is also, right now we are trying to get the mental health organizations out there first, so that we can then go to the corporate side and then say, hey, we've got all these mental health organizations on our platform. They need funding and they need more money. So they do offer a lot of services. We would like you to come on board our platform as well to list down services directly to these mental health organizations. So of course, it's going to be very specialized and niche towards mental health use cases only. But we also see a lot of wellness conferences happening around the year, these past few years. I think Green Ribbon was one of them. Yeah. So they have one every November, and we're seeing a demand in that. So we want to give them the space to list down services and then connect them with this. So it's not really up to us to do the matching, but when the corporate side lists down these service requests, the organizations can go and then apply to offer their service, and then everything will be settled on their own. Yeah, we will only help them to keep track of like whether they've reached out to the organization, whether the organization has looked at their staff, and then whether they are going to have a meeting or not.
If you guys have any other questions, I encourage you to hold them. Talk to Bryce after the event is over. Once again, so Mendisphere, they're looking for developers to continue building up their app. They've got some already, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, we have one developer lead. We have a couple of developers as well, but some of them are back end. We're looking a lot more for front end right now.
Okay, so if you're a front end developer, if you're trying to break into front end development, great project to work with. The design is obviously gorgeous, right? And the team worked really hard on it.
Thank you, Lansing.
Takes time, but really well done. All right, thank you guys very much. Bryce, I need the marker. Okay, we move on to the second project. And I just want to share that for Mendisphere, what I was very proud of was that the team was willing to pivot constantly after recognizing that perhaps the way that they initially thought about solving the problem was not the right answer. And that's hard because they invested almost a year's worth of research, engaging individuals, doing surveys, understanding the problem, reading actual research papers. They have a doctor who was one of the co-leads for the team, who's actually reading real research, academic research papers on the topic to try and build a better AI chatbot for mental health. And eventually they realized that you can't outsource this to ChatGPT. Unfortunately, or fortunately, mental health issues have to be done through organizations like the ones that they are kind of engaging right now. So great work for the team. We move on to the Impart Chatbot. Vasily, I think it's over to you and Sharos. Sorry, the recording will be online later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vasilisa Sharos. Let's see, does it work? Yes, it works. So basically, we present today the collaboration which we've done together with volunteering organization Impart. We help them to manage the schedules with the volunteers. Little bit of background. Impart is the charity in Singapore which actually helps problematic youth on the 3 different levels: education, community, and mental health care. And well, this is thanks. I guess to Bryce. So, and basically the main problem they had here everything is got. So how it operates is has like few entities. The main entity is volunteer who should meet the youth. And then the youth also have the referee. And then there is Impart as well. So there is this whole entity, which somehow between each other should know when to schedule, when reminders are coming, what was the feedback, did they meet at all and or not. And actually this picture I put here because at first we received from them, you know, like a huge Excel with a lot of explanation, what do they want? And I didn't understand a word there. So that's why when we met, I put a piece of paper in front and for 2 hours we were just drawing, which is like super helpful. Actually, from all of this, we build the thing. And we identified 2 main things in which we were working is that we need to do something with the data, kind of to store it properly and retrieve, and also maybe later on have some data analytics for them, like how many meetings was there, right? What was canceled and what's not. And then the another one is a Telegram bot in which people can, volunteers can schedule with the youth and then send feedback, receive reminders, and that's all. So one of the requirements from the, I'm shouting. One of the requirements from the Impart was to have it no code or low code because they, in their team, they're not so techy. So they wanted actually to run it themselves later. So that's why we choose these 3 things, or they choose, I would say, these 3 things. Wasn't my first choice. I would just write everything in Python, but yeah, that's what we've done. We use for Telegram bot district and then make, or formerly Integrammart was like a connector between the database and the bot district, and Airtable was as database. And here, word to Sharos.
Oh, yeah. Just one slide. Okay. Hi guys. I'm Feroz. So Vasilisa and I took on the project around March. So when we kind of came in, the team, the whole aim of the project was they are an organization helping out at-risk youths, and they combine volunteers with the youth and do the scheduling for them. So right now, their entire process until we kind of helped them create a bot was completely manual. So from who is supposed to meet up with whom at what time, how the session went, what was the feedback, then also looping in the parents, the people who referred the youth. So it was a hodgepodge of like a huge, massive mess. The whole white paper that you saw where we wrote down the notes was, they know the process. It was completely sort of like independent process that they kind of verbally knew and had written down. But especially when you're trying to translate a working process into a app or a solution that they can use, we had to actually, one of the things we actually really had to do was simplify it down. So Vasilisa has experience building chatbots, which is why she said Python. But one of the limitations that we had was when we came on, they already had a solution that they had someone else help them build or start building out. And because we had such a short time frame and limitations on low code, no code, we had to just work with what we had, but focus on building something that really worked for them and can be executed in this time. So given that we already had, they were using Airtable. So what we did was we used all the different solutions. One app that's not written here is JobForm, which is what they use for collecting survey data and signing up volunteers and youth. So what we had to really do was somehow figure out how Vasilisa was going to make the Telegram bot work with all the crazy logic, and how I would support her with a database that was not breaking their previous data, but building it out in a way that would capture the new data from Jotform and give her the data she needs to work with the different chats and groups, right? So the three main things to kind of remember is we have the volunteers who are helping the youth themselves, and the parents or the people who are monitoring it, including Impart. So there's three groups. So we have two chats running simultaneously. So as you can imagine, right after this slide, you'll see how complicated it was. But for the Airtable, like I said, we needed to have a volunteer sign up database. We needed to have a youth database with all their referrals and how they came about and what their conditions are. And on top of that, the new requirements that we had to figure out was how to schedule them. And also after every session, we had to we had questions for the volunteer and youth on how the session went. So we were collecting data on that. So as you can see, it's really small. So we have like a volunteer database, a match database, a volunteer feedback form, a youth database. One of the big things, and again, Vasilisa has a lot of experience because she was in the mental health space building out bots before. We work with very sensitive data. So unfortunately today I can't really share any tables with you or show you how we recorded the data because everything is very sensitive, but I'm gonna have to trust my word on this. But yeah, the main challenges that we had were, one thing was data sensitivity. So even when the chatbot was going to gather data from which youth we're talking about, we had to somehow anonymize the data enough that the chatbot can kind of talk to. So I can't just kind of go on the chatbot and say, okay, I want to look at my own thing. So I can't just write churros, because then anyone who knows my name can just go interact with the telebot and just write their name and get the info. So we had to create a new way to give everyone unique IDs. So only when you have your own unique ID or your volunteer has a unique ID, he can go in and get your data. And then the unique ID is generated every time a job form's made. On top of that, the other challenge we had was integrating with the multiple third-party apps. So Make is a third-party app, Jotform is third-party, and also is Bot District. They all have their own limitations. They all say they're flexible. They're not. You have to basically every other week we're talking to the support team or try to figure out why the data is being captured here and why it's not being captured there, why it's working right now, why it's not working. And a new update that Vasilisa messaged me last night is so Airtable changed their authentication key away from API keys to OAuth, but we cannot future-proof it because companies like Jotform haven't even introduced OAuth integration for Airtable. They're only relying on API keys. So this is one thing that's a big problem, is unless you build your app yourself, or in this case, you're very much limited to what you're working with in terms of the partners, and then making all the software all the systems to work together. That's a bit of a problem. And the last one was making data clean and accessible to use, because they were collecting data in a certain way. All the columns were different names, all the headers were different. They were integrated in really crazy ways. I don't know who was working on it before, but we just had to kind of keep a copy of what worked for them, create a brand new copy, and then build it on a cleaner way. And in terms of future opportunities, one of the things we said, they're going to be collecting data. So they can run trend analysis on how many sessions happened, what were the feedbacks, how the project progressed. But the main sort of target for us was to build a bot to help, Jay who's the main contact for us at Impart. He's like a machine. He has to do all the scheduling. He talks to all the volunteers. He talks to all the referrers. He talks to all the parents. He's doing everything by himself. So for them to get their next level of funding, they have to show that they can scale. If they cannot show that they can scale in a smooth way fast enough, then that itself is a barrier for them to get further funding. So that was our target, to build something that can help them achieve that goal. And now Vasilisa will go back and talk about our rest of the project. Thanks, guys.
basically, that's a little bit I discussed about the Telegram bot I built. Yeah, so as we mentioned that like volunteer has to register in the bot, and that's when we use jot forms, and then volunteer has to log in within the bot. That's where we come out with idea of ID of like particularly your own ID as a volunteer. And then schedule, reschedule, cancel, send feedback to the bot. But also, besides receiving from the bot directly reminders and reminders to fill feedback, bot should be added to second group in which Impart and referee is. And that group also should receive reminders and feedback. So it's like, it's not particularly the features which bot district had. So that's why we had to build on top a lot of make. I'll show the next slide. Yeah. And yeah, put the future opportunities that later on, that we didn't build right now, we just build 101, but later on there can be 1 volunteer, 3 use, or 3 volunteer, 1 use. That gonna make it super crazy in terms of logic, so we didn't get there. Send messages. Yeah, another thing which is actually, so we come out with this ID, but another thing which come out with is that, okay, I have ID as volunteer, and I cannot somehow show this ID in the group chat with the referee and everyone else, because what if the referee will use this ID? So we come up with another ID, which is called case ID, and that is for basically matching. Case ID is, yeah, it's like a connection between volunteer and use. You wanna...
So we'll have a volunteer helping out multiple youths. So you cannot, so it can be 1 youth to 1 volunteer, but a volunteer can be to multiple people. So we can't be giving out the volunteer ID in the chatbot. So essentially, well, we had to create a simultaneous system where the volunteer has multiple youths registered to them. So only the volunteer assign a case ID, which is only the parents of the youth and the youth knows. So that's the only way that they can see only theirs. So as you can see, this is stuff that it's very complicated. So in this case, what we're seeing is you have the volunteer talking to the youth, and at the same time, we have to send messages out to the parents, say, yes, your kid is showing up, and this is how the session is.
Yeah, and actually for the case ID, another thing that, for example, for every meeting, feedback, schedules, and matching, there is no, especially for the meeting, I think, and feedback, there is no names, there is only case ID. So it's like, even when you see the schedule database, you will not see who with whom, and feedback to whom is like a case ID. So yeah, it's like, but yeah, so I wanted a little bit to discuss the, no code, low code, just fast. So it sounds very nice, and easy, no code, low code, but it was like so much overworking. I would build that bot in 2 days. I built this thing in 3 months. So because it's like, it needs so much overwork. This is just one structure of how reminders works, where this goes where you schedule. And then if you schedule 2 days before, 2 hours before, 10 minutes before, that's where you reschedule with all of this. And that's where you cancel, because there should be 3 notifications 2 days before, 2 hours before, and feedback. So basically, it's why it's like that, because it was very simple in the beginning, and then I started to run in edge cases. And then like each day it started to grow into that. But now it works. So, and then for bot district as well, there is like so many things I had to do. It's like, it has this thing which called stories, where like what bot answers, and then rules, meaning like kind of what exactly bot answers in different things. And even, till the moment, like to check the data and also it was a lot of work in there, but maybe, I think, yeah, the results I show like this, it works. They're already onboarding people there. It's already sending schedules and reminders and also feedback. Maybe the kind of thing I wanted to fast say about, because I think all of us are building things here, right, in volunteering. And I guess this project was probably my most successful estimate in my whole career as like CTO founder and product manager, because I estimated for myself mostly. So we did estimate to finish like in 3.5 months, and we did finish in 3.5 months exactly. And the main thing I would say, like what helps me and maybe will help you, is that I cut this elephant in such a small pieces. So every weekend I would think like I would do just this small thing. And then I did it every weekend, and that's how I finished. So I guess, I mean, it's very, very simple and maybe not so, a difficult solution, but it did help me a lot to deliver the thing. They're pretty happy, but because we use bot district, it's very interesting tool, I would say. It's always breaks. So there's a lot of errors every day coming. Yesterday night, I was redoing few things, but it works. Somehow it works. Yeah, I think that's all from our side. Do you have any questions? Thank you. Questions? Okay, you can ask us later after the.
Hi, congrats on finishing the project.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just asking if, so on the volunteer side, are you planning to build like some form of dashboard for them to track their cases?
There is no dashboard because in Airtable they can see everything already. So they're using Airtable to see everything.
So
Airtable is basically like, just imagine like a very flexible Excel spreadsheet. So they can basically use any BI tool for analysis, but because we just launched the app like a few days ago, like no, it's been,
I think already quite a while.
yeah. So you need quite a bit of sizable data before you can do any sort of analysis, right? And one of the things is when we started the project, we said that they had a lot of requirements. We said, listen, we need to have a deliverable for you that you can use, right? Instead of trying to get everything under the sun in. And based on that, their most pressing need was the scheduling part and the feedback part. But once they start getting enough feedback, then they can obviously use that for analytics. But the dashboard and analytics will depend on what you're trying to really get out of the data. Right? You can't just build a dashboard out of like every single metric. It's they actually aren't even sure what metrics they want to measure. So based on that, later on they can.
sorry, I think I used the wrong term, not dashboard, but like just case tracking, like this is urgent, this is due in 3 days, these kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, like, so they have a table in which every single meeting with the dates and times and everything. And then this table is used in the make, in that huge form I showed, to send reminders always. So it's the bot sending reminders to the volunteer and to the group. Yeah.
Because I thought that because if the volunteer is receiving a lot of notifications from the bot, right? You might just want a visual one-pager that shows them, I have 5 cases and these are the status. Yeah.
Yeah, probably nice. Probably next time they come to Better SG and ask for help, we might consider.
If you have any other questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to engage them. But I also would recommend that you guys read the interview and article that we've written about them on our website. So we have actually an article.
I should read.
You should read it yourself.
Yeah.
That was sweet. Yeah, so the government Smart Nation and Digital Government Office has asked to actually go and chat with you guys and understand how you built all of this. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
While the next team sets up, please stand up and get some food. We're going to go back to your seats. I know all of you are hungry. Presentations are fantastic, but your stomachs are going to be growling if you don't get some food. So please grab food. Yeah, it'll take a few minutes to set up the next slide. And Charles, you basically, your entire process of taking IDs, if you invented this development campaign,
Yeah. No, so
you basically invented the entire process.
no, so I thought I don't know why they don't say that on and the thing is to be a lot for the screen themselves.
All right, guys, if I get everyone back to their seats. Jin has empowered me with the bell. Seriously? All right, with the bell is rung. The bell is rung, we'll grab our seats and we're going to move to CheckMate, which has undergone a rebranding. This is visually much more spectacular than the original logo, but I'm going to hand over to Bingwen and his team for CheckMate. There you go.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Ping Wen, and so I'm here today. I think my team is also here, right? So Vincent, Amanda, Claire, and Carlos. So we are all part of this project called CheckMate. And what we are trying to achieve is the tagline there. Basically, we check for scams and misinformation so you don't have to do it. Okay. So yeah, so okay, it's a bit small, but I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm sure many of you have received this kind of WhatsApp message, right? Basically, those kind of, telling you that you can earn $15 from doing a survey. And fun fact, I actually engaged them with this and managed to earn like $90 from this particular scam, right? So you need to know when to stop, basically. But anyway, these kind of messages are very prevalent nowadays. Yeah. So in my day job, I work at CPF, and in CPF, we're also very concerned with many of these things, especially recently, some people have been scammed out of their CPF savings and all that. So it's a real problem in Singapore, right? Many people actually fall for this. Last year, almost 660 million was lost on scams. So scams is one thing, and on the other side of the house, there's also this kind of messages. Okay, maybe it's a bit small again. So, but basically this is a what it says there, papaya and tongue exercise, blah blah blah, saying that papaya is so nutritious and all that. Okay, so these kind of messages, we also see them quite often. They are more like misinformation, right? Not so much scam, but misinformation campaigns trying to influence you. So these are also very much a problem, especially during the COVID time, right? When there was all this misinformation about vaccine. And also, I think coming towards the presidential election and maybe GE in future, this kind of thing tends to surface a lot more. So these two problems, are pretty pressing in Singapore. And what our product is about is quite simple. Okay, so if you get a kind of message, so if you all can take out your phone now and scan this, it will help you add our WhatsApp bot. Okay, so if you get that kind of message, this kind of pay now scam or kind of misinformation being sent around in the kind of boomer chat, let's put it that way. So if you get a kind of if you get scam or misinformation, just send it into our this bot, right? And then it will kind of guide you through and let you know whether or not it's scam or is it legitimate? So we have a few categories that you can have. So basically today I didn't really come to show any video demo, right? Because the products here it really works. And I think I'm relatively intuitive, so you can just go and play with it on WhatsApp. But if I were to explain what's going on under the hood, right, it's really just these three steps. So the first step, users can send in a message. Okay, so like I say, if this kind of scan message, you just send it into the bot, right? Then what happens back end? The message is then so we have really a database of messages that other people send in, right? So if the pay now message has occurred before, there will be some kind of matching. So it will match using, I mean, it's a kind of semantic similarity thing. So it doesn't have to be identical, but if it's kind of like the same message, we will just immediately reply the person, right? If it's not, we'll have another layer of kind of machine categorization that will then assign a category to the message. If and if it requires fact checking, or if our classifier is not very confident, right, then it goes to a network of volunteers that will vote on the message. So these volunteers are also on WhatsApp. They're in a separate chat with another bot. The bot will send them the message that was received. They will then click on some buttons to vote on the category. And then once enough people have voted, the category is updated. And then you will then reply the user with the category that we think the message falls under. So that's how it works, right? But this is kind of like our view on why this product can actually create value for people, right? Because I think today, friction is a real thing, right? So even the police, when they are advising citizens on how to deal with scams, they tell you act, check, and what's the last one? Tell, yeah, act, check, and tell. So check is a very important part of this trio, right? But that said, checking often takes a lot of friction. So if let's say I get a WhatsApp message now and I don't know whether it's a scam or not, I probably have to go to Google, I have to search, I have to think about what to search actually, but I can't just paste the message in, right? I have to think about what exactly I need to search. So that process takes a lot of friction. Most people don't actually go all the way. So they will just, they could just buy it. So what we are trying to do now is to just, by existing on the platform where they get the scam or the misinformation, we make it easy for them to just forward it in, because they are already doing that, right? People tend to be forwarding things to each other. So they just forward it in, and then we tell them whether it's true or not. So that substantially reduces the friction in this process. Right? So that's one. And it's actually kind of, we have done some research also, right? And studies do show that actually what's the most effective intervention for misinformation, especially, is to tell them, is to clarify at the point that they encounter it. Because once they go down the rabbit hole of believing it already, kind of too late, right? So you do it upfront. And that's where I think the reduction of friction also contributes to this. And the last part, I think traditionally there are some of these fact-checking solutions out there, but they tend to be very expert-driven. So expert-driven means a few people, they might join, they might be part of an NGO that does fact-checking, but because there are only a few experts, right? They can't really scale. Maybe they see what's trending and then they come out with articles to debunk those topics. But this kind of mechanism doesn't really scale. And while I think many people have also told us that maybe we can try machine learning, but I think machine learning will never get to a kind of accuracy, at least now, where it can very confidently, address all kinds of scams. I think scams is actually easier for machines to detect, but fact checking fake news is very, very hard for machines to solve this problem. So these two problems, right? Experts can be accurate, but they can't scale. Machines can scale, but not so accurate. So what we do is we combine machine learning with this wisdom of crowds concept. So I think crowdsourcing and the wisdom of crowds is a very powerful thing. And we have also done research, right? And research also says that crowdsourcing for fact checking actually can perform as well as experts, right? So where I think that there was a study where they compared the collective vote of the mechanical Turk, people, freelancers from mechanical Turk to experts, and it was generally the same, right? So that's what we're trying to do now. We are trying to use wisdom of crowds plus machine learning in a synergistic way, so that we can both scale and then we enable redundancy. Because if you just rely on crowds alone, right, then you're very kind of like you have to rely on the continued engagement of volunteers, which might not be a resource that we always have. But if we have another machine learning algorithm complementing it and also learning from what the volunteers have listed it as, right? We can kind of like tweak the confidence level and everything such that the load, we can balance it between basically the fact checkers and the machine learning algorithm. So that's kind of like the idea that we're trying to drive here. And we think that the combination of all these means that this product might have some value in kind of like tackling scams and misinformation. So, okay, so we actually started this project in January this year, late January, right? That was, I think, when I came up to Better SG and first pitched this project. And then we started then, in March, we kind of launched a bot, right? The bot that you have just added now. We also launched our website, the early version of our website. And then in May, we kind of like had a booth at one of these active aging events, trying to get more people to use this thing. Right, and in June, we implemented the machine auto categorization, and we also applied for IMDA grant because we're doing this on WhatsApp. And if you're on the WhatsApp API, it's not free. You have to pay for each conversation. So we actually do need some funding to kind of like scale this even further. So for now, what's next, right? I think by September, we hope to revamp our website to not just be a static page, but also to kind of be like a database where you can look at the scams and search them that we have actually, debunked before, scams and misinformation. And we also want to add more community features for our checkers, because to be honest, for now, our checkers are a bit kind of like, it's almost like a sweatshop. They just continually get more and more, messages to vote on, right? And then, so we're trying to like have more gamification, community features, this kind of thing, so we can engage them better and keep the community going. Because actually, for this project, I feel that the checkers are our most important key resource here, and that's the main differentiating factor of this project. Right, so in October, hopefully the grants that we applied for will come back. Maybe if you get them, then we can start to scale. We can start to maybe have a public launch for this bot, and then do more marketing to drive more signups. So that's kind of like what we are planning to do in the coming weeks, coming months. So for our team, we actually have quite a number of different tracks going on. There's business track, UI, UX track, the dev track, right? So these are the members, okay? And generally, the areas that I have bolded in orange, right, are those that we kind of need some more help in, especially in we kind of need help with marketing and social media manager, especially. So if you are interested in being a social media manager for this project, you can approach myself or Carlos. Carlos is seated there, right? And of course, we always need more devs. Devs are very important, right? So if you are also keen to do development work, can feel free to join us, right? And yeah, that brings me to the end. So yeah, you can scan this QR code to find out more, see our website. And if you're interested in joining us as a checker, I know I say it's like a sweatshop and everything, but if you find it meaningful, right, and you also improve it over time, you can also contact us via the email link that we have in the link tree, so that you can come and onboard as a checker. So it's not like there's some like you make you go through a quiz to kind of upskill you or learn more about the type of messages that we receive and how to classify them. So we try to make it more engaging, and hopefully we can get better at that over time. So yeah, anyway, that's it for my presentation. If there's any questions, feel free to shoot away.
Yeah, one thing behind time will be fantastic, but we will take one question if maybe you can learn question. If not, you can ask them later on. Maybe you question. Yes, please. Press.
Sorry, yeah. My question is whether like how do you differentiate yourself from existing product like ScamQ? Also whether I saw that you can send a screenshot, right? Whether that also targets QR.
I think I'll answer the first question first. I think for Scam Shield, okay, so one big differentiator for our product is that we also handle misinformation, not just scams. So I think in the mind of citizens, right, a citizen would, maybe in government, Scam Shield might have a very clear idea of what's scam and what's misinformation, but people will not have that. Right? They see something start will just send it in. So I feel like any solution that exists needs to handle both, but unfortunately government and scam shield solution is based purely off machine learning. So I think it's very hard to deal with fake news. And there's also the whole political aspect of the government entity dealing with misinformation. So that's a challenge. But definitely we have there's also a lot of synergy with scam shield, and we also intend to kind of integrate our back end with so that if we detect any scams, we send it over to them. So that's kind of like plan. Yeah, for the what's your QR codes? Yeah, isn't that the beauty of the having the screen, the image, sending image function, right? Because everything goes to our network of checkers. So if it's a QR code, we can also check it. Actually, we can check anything. It's really free play, right? It just depends on the ability of the checkers to go in and see it out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can you now put all three of them? They're all seated over there. Thanks so much.
Okay, we move on to the last project for the demonstration side of the house, which is Learny. They also have a very interesting story and a journey. Who's going to be presenting? Outtro. All right. We'll hand it over to him once the slides are up. And sorry, just to say that the question about Scam Shield. So the other co-founder of Better SG is Chiling. She works at the organization that built it, and I was the head of the scams technical task force for the government. So all in harmony together.
Okay. All right. Hello, I'm Anto, and I've been involved in this project, Edukit. So it's been going on for a while now, almost 1.5 years, and we have rebranded a few times already. Like you mentioned, it was accessible education, and then now Learny, and now Edukit. Okay. So I took over this project like about 4 months ago. Okay. So what is this project about? Who are we trying to help? So essentially, we are trying to build a solution which helps platforms or social service organizations, which brings underprivileged students and matches them with tutors who are okay to teach or who are available to teach for free or at a very discounted tuition charge. So there's a lot of such organizations which bring these two groups of people together. So essentially, the solution is to help solve some of the key pain points such organizations have. And one of the organizations that has been very much involved is Kindle Spark. And so the solution we are building is more focused for this organization. But in the initial research that was done when this whole thing was launched, there's a lot of other organizations involved, and they had very similar pain points. Yeah. So, but the focus of a solution is more customized for Kindle Spark. All right. Okay. So the biggest pain point. So initially, when this project started off, the research was quite in depth. Like a lot of good work was done, but over time it was a bit slow, and like actually came to building the product was a bit slow. But the research was like super, just quite detailed. And I think the biggest pain points these organizations had was matching so they have this database or like Excel sheet equivalent of the list of tutees who want subsidized tuition or free tuition, and tutors who are ready to teach for a subsidized rate. But then how do you match? And essentially, when it's like 100 by 100 for a manual work process, it becomes difficult to match based on the different criteria, right? Like gender, subject, education level, and that kind of stuff. So the biggest pain point these organizations had was matching these two groups together once the data is collected about these separate groups. Okay, so the solution we try to build. So of course, the main objective is automating the match, right? So we try to take out the manual process as much as possible. But in order to do that, to build a tool that is useful, there's few things that's critical, right? I mean, we can't go and say, okay, this is the work, we are building a tool, and then you have to adjust your work process according to what you're building. So if they are collecting information in Excel sheet, we can't say, okay, you remove a database or whatever. So one of the key things was to build a tool that is in line with the existing work processes. So it's so that they don't get to lock in to what we are building in. And if for some reason we are not able to, our tool doesn't work, they are able to go back to the original base. So that is one critical element. And the other thing is, given the pain points was very similar, we build a tool which is just easy to customize according to once we have perfected for one group. Yeah, so that's the key considerations. All right. Okay. So yeah, solution wise, essentially instead of the manual matching here, we come up with a software solution which is essentially like everything is happening on the browser level. So the browser so the tool kind of reads from the Excel sheet of tutors and does the matching. And it can be a very simple if else switch case kind of statement, right? I mean, all you need to know is that the list of different criteria, which could be quite elaborate, but for a machine, it should be relatively easier to do. Okay. Let me show what we have right now. Come on. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. So it's a bit ugly looking, but it's something that's intended to work for Kindlespark. So broadly, there's 3 steps, right? One. So most of these organizations collect the information in Excel, right? I mean, Excel or like any spreadsheet, common spreadsheet. So the way it works is, so there's a hyperlink for each of the tutor and tutee. So maybe Jim, can you click on the tutor just to show how the Excel looks? So this is anonymized information, so the names and numbers are different. So this is how a sample database looks like for what kind of information about the tutor is collected. Yeah. So as a first step, so the person using this will just copy the Excel file, the data from their Excel file and dump into this location. And then if you can go back to the yeah. Okay. So then similarly for the tutee data, then I mean, it's also something very similar with like an Excel with like say around 500 rows and like a lot of columns, as you can see. Then go back to the. Okay, so you can show the drop down. So different organizations will have different formats, right? So essentially, right now it has like just 2 particular formats. So you select the right format in which the data is presented, and once you click, select that, maybe click load. Okay, so essentially what happens is here is so everything is happening in the browser. So the browser kind of connects to these Excel files, loads into the memory, and then, okay, click OK and match. Okay, if you go below that. Okay, so then essentially all the logic and calculation, everything happens in the browser. So it's not like a big, huge database with millions of rows. So we can afford to like do everything simple and essentially for different tutors, it's matching the different tutors who match best based on the criteria. If you click on one of the rows, so then if you click on that particular tutee, it will show more details on what are the different criteria and what is the matching score like. Yeah, so that's what we have right now. And I think go back to this. Okay, so in terms of who we are, so we have like about small team right now. So 3 developers and like say 1 very energetic PM come UX designer who has been like involved right from the beginning. It's like very meticulous and he's been like the main force behind this whole project. So yeah, so that's who we are. And in terms of what we want to do in the next 6 months, one is so right now we have been engaging with Kindlespark on a frequent basis, like a monthly basis, to like show them what we have and all that. So we are at a stage where we have kind of gotten their okay, and it's probably we are in the stage of like integrating this into their work process. So that's the next thing we want to do. And the other thing is again reach out to the original organizations which are involved in the research, show them this and see if we can add features that can help those teams as well. Yep. And the other thing, the second biggest pain point of these organizations is essentially, so once the session happens, like getting the right feedback, storing the right feedback, and seeing how the session is going on. So once we have done the first 2 points, then probably build towards tackle the second pain point as well. Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of help that will be useful is again developers and people who are interested in reaching out to these organizations, having that kind of conversations. Yeah, so that's all.
If not, please approach Mark forward. Thank you so much, Aiman.
And I just want to reiterate, you're seeing a diversity of demos here. So you've got some people with fully functional products, some people with very, very beautiful clickable Figmas, and some with kind of a skeletal prototype that works. All of the core functions are there, but the aesthetics there, there's work still to be done there. But that's what we're hoping to see. You've got 6 months, build something, showcase it, and then take another 6 months and build up the rest of it. And hopefully this meeting will generate that support that you need. So developers, designers, and so on can come and join the team afterwards. After the thing is done, we will create new volunteer opportunities on the homepage. So all of you are in our Beta SG Notion. There's a tab for volunteer opportunities. We'll show that later on, but we're going to move to the last project for the demo, which is RecycleGoWhere. And they're going to do a very quick overview of where they are right now. So the RecycleGoWhere team. Come. And this is another team that has A, spent a really long time on the idea, but B, pivoted a few times. And so this is the second / possibly third iteration of their project. And is one of the 3 projects that has been mentioned in Parliament, actually. Okay, are you able to share the slides so we can load it up? Actually, why don't you just present the slides from your laptop? Yeah, them to present it. Are they on Zoom? I think, okay, why don't we come back to you? So I think you log into Zoom and then you share the slides from there. But we'll come back to you in a bit. We'll kind of jump sequence a little bit and go into the pitch portion. So Jin, what is the first picture? Okay, so while they both log on to Zoom and then get things set up on that side, we're going to move to the pitches now. These pitches are going to be in various degrees of well-cooked / uncooked. Some of these will be fairly nice presentation slides, clever ideas, etc. Some will be the seed of a good idea, but a lot of work still needs to be done. The hope is that 6 months from now, when we have the session again in December, with the dates already in our calendar, we've locked it in. When we have this pitch and demo day again in 6 months' time, the team that you saw here with the seed of an idea will come back and show you what they've built. And again, it could be a skeletal prototype. It could be a clickable Figma. It could be a fully working product. It depends on how the team progresses. But they have to show that progress in 6 months' time. Okay, what is this? Okay. Oh, if you're going to move to an entire different segment. Okay, why don't you go ahead? Yeah. Okay.
They need and connect people with similar desires so they can learn from each other. Open spaces begin without any predetermined agenda, but instead work around a specific theme. There are 4 guiding principles and 1 law. The principles: 1, whoever comes to the open space are the right people. In the breakout groups, you don't need an expert or teacher to learn. We learn as a group. Teachers and experts are certainly welcome. 2, whenever it starts is the right time. When the conversation begins, let the ideas flow. Don't force it or feel the pressure to be someone you aren't. 3, when it's over, it's over. When the conversation is finished, move on to the next thing. Don't keep rehashing. Do the work, not the time. 4, whatever happens is the only thing that could happen. Be prepared to be surprised. We have no idea what brilliant ideas or solutions will be found in each group. Expect to be surprised and be prepared to question your own assumptions. The law of 2 feet. If during the course of the gathering, any person finds themselves in a situation where they are neither contributing nor learning, they must use their feet to go to a more productive place. No one's feelings will be hurt and no time will be wasted. In each group, please select a recorder who will take minutes of the discussion to share. Open spaces work best when we take the time to reflect honestly, share openly, and think critically. They are most successful for all participants when we trust the process and work earnestly to better ourselves and the community.
Okay, so we're trying this out for the pitches so that people can get immediate feedback and immediate input on their ideas. What will happen is that we'll invite somebody up on stage to pitch their idea. Subsequently, after all the pitches are done, we'll kind of give them spaces near these whiteboards. You go up to them, engage them, try and give them feedback, ideas, engage with them, question them, push the idea, pull the idea, so that at the end of the session, they've got something a little bit richer than what they started with. That's the whole purpose. And no right answer, no wrong answer. It's just for you to help the individual people who are pitching their product to get some sense of where they could go with it. With that, Jin, the first one is?
I think just.
We have a few that have already indicated interest to pitch, and they are wearing their red tags.
Maybe you can let engineering go. Do you want to go first?
Oh, engineering goods here. Yeah, please go ahead. Oh, okay. We'll go second. You have the list?
Well, basically, you know what we're gonna do is that we're gonna do it open pitch, right? So if anyone has an idea, you have 1 minute, go out the stage, feel free to take the stage and pitch, then we will split up the room after that. Yeah. Rei Shuen, I think you have an idea or something, yes? I mean, even if it's just a brief one, that's fine.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It's my first time here, actually. Yeah, I think it was coming into here, my first impression is like, wow, this is a warm crowd, right? I think we're all trying to do like good here, and I really like this open space tech concept, right? Because what I understood from it is that you find people of similar interests, and basically you start forming like nuclei here, right? Yeah. So today, I come here with just a seed of an idea. So let me tell you a story. A few weeks back, right? Actually not a few weeks back. Let's say a month and a half back, I went to volunteer for Food Bank Singapore, right? So I walked in, I was pretty happy, happy to be there on a Saturday, right? So when I walked in, first thing I noticed was that my peers are actually one big group, right? So I was wondering, so they came as a big group. That's interesting. Second, I started engaging the staff, right, who's down there on a Saturday. Props to him, he's working on a Saturday. That's one of the problems with volunteering on Saturdays, actually, that staff have to come down for extra work hours, right? So I asked him like, oh, so I was very happy. I asked him, yeah, I'm happy to be here. What can I do to help? That kind of thing, right? So he was very frank with me. So he said, actually, okay, let me first caveat this by saying that I'm not trying to take this with a pinch of salt, right? So he's quite direct, and I like that. So he says that actually we don't really need volunteers here, right? What we need is something else. A lot of people think that they come down and volunteer. Oh, so I'm giving you my time, right? And that's very super valuable. But then you think of the other costs that they incur, right? Having to come down on Saturday, having to turn the lights on, having to find something for you to do. Yeah, it's pretty tiring, right? So so he highlighted two key things that Food Bank Singapore is facing. Actually, what you can give more than your time is money, right? Recently they faced, if I'm not wrong, they are getting 20% of the donations they used to get during COVID period. So there is some donation fatigue there. And the second problem, so they have a separate line of business, which they basically work like a supermarket. So when, so companies, right, they will buy food through Food Bank. And since Food Bank has a charity status, they have a charity price which they can buy food at, right? And hence you can get more bang for your buck. You can stretch that $1 further. So yeah, these two are the main lines of business that they have, and they are facing the problems of donor fatigue, and secondly, just getting more corporate partners through the door. So why was I amongst this group of 10, right? They just came as one group. So they are corporate volunteers. during the week, they have 2 sessions, and each session are usually just packed with corporate volunteers. Individual volunteers are actually in the minority. So it got me thinking. So I posed 2 questions. So how might we better position NGOs, or in this case, Food Bank Singapore, towards their corporate partners to drive corporate funding? And secondly, how might we counteract donor fatigue? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Go back to RecycleGoWhere. I really it's a 5-minute update project. Again, remember what you said, I'm gonna give you this one, and then later on, project, share, questions, comments, thoughts, at the end. Gonna put RecycleGoWhere. Right, over to you guys.
Yep. Hi everyone. I'll just introduce myself first. I'm Dexter, the VP of Operations and Outreach for RecycleGoWhere. Together with me is Yu Kwang. He's the VP for Marketing. Yeah. Okay.
Before I start, right, I think I just asked a very short question. Everyone here has heard about Semakau landfill, right? Does anyone know roughly when will the landfill be fully filled? Show of hands. Does anyone have a rough idea? Yep. 2030. Anyone else has a, so it's a bit quite close to the answer, but it's actually not quite it. Anyone else has a rough idea? Okay, maybe I'll just share. So actually, the Semakau landfill is projected to fully be filled by 2035. And if you all don't know, the Semakau landfill is actually Singapore's only landfill, our offshore landfill. So all our waste gets dumped there every day. So actually, this is quite an alarming concern because if you think about it, it will be fully filled in another 10 years' time. So by then, we don't really have a place to fill up our, where will we dump our rubbish and all of that, you know? So that's why we came about this RecycleGoWhere. Then Dexter will share more about some of our basic ideas. Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is our objective. Basically, our verticals, we have a web application, and also we have the our social media presence, which is we should share more about it. Okay, this is our team. Unfortunately, our project lead, Zhishen, is unable to make it here today. Because he has been including, day and night, Windows Pro, shuttles, everything as a public developer. Yeah, so we'll give it to him. Yeah. Okay, this is our project structure as shared. So I'm leading the operations and outreach team. Zhishen is leading the product and development team, and Yvonne is leading the marketing team. So welcome to join us if you are developer also. We actually need more front-end and back-end developers, and also freelance marketing specialists to actually help us come out with all the marketing fundamentals which try to touch on. Yeah, this is our target audience. Ben is a recycling beginner. He's relatively tech savvy, and some of his pain points are that he actually lacks the knowledge of recycling. Like all Singaporeans, and I think recently we actually went overseas and we actually saw how countries like Taiwan, Japan, and Australia actually acting on recycling in their countries, and we hope to actually bring some of these active consciousness back into Singapore through our project. Okay, this is the issue which I touched on just. Okay, and our verticals are the web app and the social media presence, which are actually the my main focus today will be the product overview. So this is our updated sort of Figma prototype, which is currently under development as well by Shen and his team. This is our landing page, and this is our web page, and this is our Breakout page, which we are working closely with MSC to get the relevant information to populate the data on these pages. Yeah. As for the tech stacks, in case any of you are wondering and are interested to join our team as a developer, of course we have Next.js, TypeScript, React, and for the UI libraries we're using Chakra, and the backend database, in case you don't know what this is actually an online service which actually helps to convert Google Sheets into RESTful JSON API endpoints. So when we actually fetch the data from the endpoint, we actually can populate our app from there. Yeah,
okay, so I just do a quick touch on marketing. So sorry if we sound a bit rushed because we only have 5 minutes.
So yeah, but basically, if I just do a general touch up, our overview, right? Just now we talked about the landfill, but actually our main project is also targeted at mainly recycling in general, especially for the younger generations who are more tech savvy and who actually want to recycle but don't really know how to recycle and don't really know the gist of recycling. That's why for the media side and marketing side is how we engage them, cultivate them, as well as to educate them. Okay, so I'll just touch out briefly on how we are approaching them. So actually our team of marketing people are actually all very young. A lot of us are from universities, so we are mainly focused on targeting how to get the younger people who are more tech savvy into more concrete evidence of recycling. So we'll be engaging them through interactive campaigns and giveaways. We're cultivating knowledge of how to be sustainable, and also we'll be educating them via our posters on how, what's the information needed for recycling. So for our team, for now, if I just let you do a short mind map of how we are playing through, we actually have an Instagram account already. And we also we are moving on to the realm of TikTok. Maybe some of the newer generation might know Lemonade. Yep. So all of these are the processes that the younger generation will know better. So we are thinking of engaging them on these things rather than just your old website or just hiring. So from our end, if we really need some freelance designers. So if anyone knows anybody there or has knowledge of that, please feel free to talk to either me and Dexter. It would be really much appreciated. So yeah, we'll be trying to, our team here is more of younger generation style. So that's really a general. Okay, I think our time is mostly up. We don't want to take up the next people's time. So really recycling and sustainable is really the way to go for the future. So if you're interested, please contact anyone. Thank you so much for listening to our sharing for today. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We don't have time for questions, but please do approach them later on. One of the things that they failed to present, which is actually, in my mind, the most important part of the project, is that they have an incredible web app, which you tell them what you want to recycle, and it will find the nearest recycling bin of the right type near your house. So electronics, plastics, glass, metal, clothes. So RecycleGoWhere.sg has been live for a long time, and is also one of the few projects from BetterSG that's actually been mentioned in Parliament. So yes. So this is what they've actually built. So they didn't demonstrate this, but it's fantastic stuff. And there's a significant amount of dev work that's gone into the back end for this. Oh, Jin is live demonstrating it now, is it? Damn. So this is a fully working and a low latency product. Yeah. No worries, no worries. All right, so thank you guys very much for the presentation. If you have any questions, you can go and engage them at the end of it. Okay, move on to the next pitch. We have 3 more pitches for today. I think Engineering Good, would you guys like to go ahead and come up and share a little bit? For those of you who don't know Engineering Good, they are our kind of sister / partner / beloved organization. I'm not sure who took over from Johan. Patrick, okay. Oh, please come. Yeah, so let's welcome Denise.
Hi, everyone. So we're from Engineering Good. We're a non-profit organization that makes technology accessible to vulnerable communities. And one of the programs that we do is assistive tech projects. And today we want to share with you a project that we've been working on since 2020. So this project was started with Down Syndrome Association, where they have students who have Down syndrome, and they try and teach them things like activities of daily living, community living, and things like that. So one of the things that they ran into was trying to train their students with Down syndrome to be able to travel independently. So I'm sure everyone here uses Google Maps, and Google Maps is really a day-to-day part of our life. But for many people with intellectual disabilities, Down syndrome, and even autism, they find common navigation apps very complicated to use. And often they don't have the support that they need while commuting. So it started with a couple of NUS high students who wanted to build a more user-friendly app for persons with intellectual disabilities. So they started on working on different bus apps and things like that. But really it aims to do four main things, which is one, a step-by-step guide to navigate the route. So if you see Google Maps, it does give you a step-by-step kind of like where you need to turn, where you need to walk into. But persons with intellectual disabilities, they actually need more help, even things like which bus do you board? You need to flag down the bus. And when you boarded the bus, you need to tap your EasyLink card. And after you tap your EasyLink card, you take a seat and all these different steps right down to when you press the bus bell in order to get off the bus. So the app aims to do that, have a step-by-step guide. The second thing the app aims to do is have some inbuilt support for the user. So the user, if they find themselves in distress or they feel lost, they are able to ask the app, where are they now? Or directly call a caregiver. So there are many different features that we would like to try and build into the app. We have here Richard and Sintu-san, or two volunteers who have been working on it for quite some time now. And we really love for more developers to join us to build out this app. And we continue to see many different community partners who need it as well. Thank you.
We have two more pages. Leila, you want to go first? Yeah. You gotta come up. Oh. Okay, then I got it. You can grab it there. Yeah. Can you edit join the Zoom? Okay,
sure. Hi everyone. So I've kind of been in Better.sg for a while now. Some of you may recognize me from Great Matters. So I'm actually here to repitch Great Matters. Again, so the idea behind Great Matters or Hereafter, we've kind of gone through a couple of rebranding as well. The problem we're trying to solve is to help or nurture people to create wills and LPAs and all the end of life processes that help people to basically have a peace of mind as they leave this earth, right? There's been a lot of work that's gone into it to do research on what exactly the pain points are and how we can address that in a technological fashion. The key issue right now is awareness that the resources are out there. So you guys might not be aware, but the government has actually developed websites like legacy.gov, mylegacy.gov to help people with all these kind of planning tools to get them to a state in which they can, register their will, sign up their LPA and things like that. But the major issue that we see today is that everyone's busy with their work life, busy like with living problems, that they don't really take the time to sort of consider these kind of situations and things. This is not just a problem for your parents, it's also probably a problem for yourself. You've probably never gone and had that conversation with people, but it's something that we're really trying to promote. And a lot of the target audience that we're really trying to address right now is those working adults who really don't really have the time to think about these things or have that difficult conversation with their parents. So we've looked at a lot of examples. There's things like Death Over Dinner, which people create a game that you can play with your parents over dinner, talking about increasingly more and more personal topics. What we're also trying to do is to see where in day-to-day life we can present the concept of it to people. So we saw a lot of Telegram bots here today, Telegram, WhatsApp bots as well. So that could be a potential channel in which we can engage people. Really, the key problem we're trying to solve is awareness and distribution, right? So website, Telegram bot are things that we want to relook at and see if that could be a possible way to engage people, or if we should, go back to the concept of a blog or workshop to really get the community around building a good dev going in Singapore, right? So that's basically the problem we're trying to solve. What we've done up so far, we have Figma designs of like existing website concept, but I do want to ask people for ideas as well on how we can just build more awareness about this issue, because I think it's something that's really unaddressed in Singapore today. Yeah. So thank you so much. I'll be right
Whiteboard in the corner for grave matters, and if you do have any thoughts, please do approach him. So on a personal level, I strongly support this idea. When I was in my 20s, I joined the military and they forced me to write my will because I was a pilot. A 23-year-old writing a will is a terrible idea because I was like, who am I going to give my Xbox to? That was the most complicated decision, and you don't think about these issues because at that time it's just like fill in these check boxes and this list of items, and you don't actually have the conversation. So strongly support the idea. It's an important thing to have. And the worst thing that can happen to your family is all of these things are administrative burdens that they have to deal with in addition to processing the grief. So please do go and have those conversations. We move on to Leila, who's got a pitch as well, and she has slides. So bring your laptop up and.
Okay, so basically,
Sorry, you're gonna stand back.
oh, sorry. Yeah. So our idea, the product that we have, so we have developed an MVP already. The product is a chatbot to help seniors generate a resume in order to look for jobs. So I'm not, I don't think I can. Can I play the audio? Would they be able to hear it or like okay, maybe I try. So I can show you a demo of how our product looks like. So should I turn on the volume or not? So they will go through a simple questionnaire, collect their personal details. And then when we did the user research, we realized that a lot of elderly, they don't like typing a lot, right? Especially if they are trying to write down your work experiences. So you can't actually hear the audio now, but we have worked in a voice function, like a voice to text function, and you can use any language at all. So our developers are great. So I'm the UX designer, but our developers use OpenAI GPT-3 and OpenAI Whisper to do the voice to text and also to do the auto translation backend. And this is a resume generator. It looks very ugly for now. We do have a nicer template, but because within the short time frame of the hackathon, we couldn't like get it out here. But yes. So anyway, okay, so the problem statement that we're trying to solve is how can we make it easier for seniors to get a job? And we realized that well, it's aging population and rising costs, right? And at the end of the day, the blue collar senior workers, so people who are usually not so well to do and not so perhaps educated, don't really speak or read English that well, they are most vulnerable, most at risk. So we did a lot of user research. We stick out at kopitiams, talked to a lot of seniors. And there are a lot of resources. There's actually resources to help seniors look for jobs. So there is a job portal specifically for seniors. But the thing is that you need a resume in order to apply for a job. And seniors are like, what resume? I don't have a resume. Or like, housewives who at this point of time, maybe their husbands passed away and they need to find a job to continue supporting themselves. Like, where are they going to get a resume? So we thought, so that's why we came up with our chatbot. Yes. So anyway, we did user testing also, and then we have a video from one of them talking about how the resume, the translation was very accurate. The generated resume was very accurate, and she was very impressed. So actually, some of the things that we thought that we wanted to do, if we have some funding to continue this project also, is to put it on WhatsApp. Right now, it's on Telegram. So I think just as someone mentioned, right, it's costly to do a bot on WhatsApp. Also have multi-language support and to have text to speech. So whatever is here, we are hoping to have the bot be able to read it out to the users. And of course, working with some of the portals. So actually, we are in contact with some of them. So Superjobs, AIC, WSG, we are in contact, but right now it's in the very initial stages. So nothing has happened yet. Yes. So anyway, that's all. That's all for my pitch. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Leila. So Leila's board is behind the screen there. And if you're interested, you can go to that one. That's right over there. Just to address a quick question. So one of the things that you do get as you kind of onboard to the Better SG project process is access to resources, funds, and kind of, we try to help open doors. So even the chatbot funds at the start will help you kickstart the initial portion. Where we can, we get discounted rates. So Call Home, for example, uses Twilio, and we've managed to get massively discounted rates from them. Meta is a great partner for us, and they've given us significant funding for early stage portions of the chatbots as well. So that's part of why teams like to work with us for project build up. We have one last pitch, which will be delivered on behalf by Jin. So I'm going to hand over to ourselves the pitch.
Right. Hi guys. Yes. We got this. We got this. We have 1 minute, right? So, oh, whoops. TLDR, like, actually, there's a lot of ideas that's running the same thing here. So, unfortunately, hi, I'm also a chatbot on behalf of pets and caregivers, first-time caregivers, actually. So, I'll actually just give 3 sentences really quick. Our idea is to develop a chatbot to provide a conversational experience to help new caregivers who are overwhelmed and need access to accurate information fast. I mean, yes, we have ChatGPT, but we need a better version of ChatGPT, yes. We need help from developers who can build such a chatbot, perhaps starting with calling through caregiving resources from the Agency of Integrated Care and delivering them to the caregivers through a personalized and conversational chatbot interface. And yes, I bet myself.
So very briefly, Pat, can you just raise your hand? Okay, so Pat's over there in the corner. And so her whiteboard will be moved right next to her. Basically, it's helping new caregivers, which is also an incredibly important and difficult space that we need help in. That brings us to the end of the pitches, but I'm going to open it up just one last. Anybody else has a brilliant idea that once they come up here and present in 6 months' time, I will expect to see them again here? There is commitment involved. No, didn't think so. All right, well, thank you guys so much. We now move to so we're going to end the Zoom call. So for those of you who've been attending online, thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to end the Zoom call. The video will be recorded and we'll put it up on our Notion homepage later on. We now encourage you to kind of go to the various whiteboards and for the next 15, 20 minutes, engage them, interact with them. If you had a project you were interested in, hunt down the project lead, ask them questions, discuss with them anything you can. Or if you just want to network with people, go ahead and chat and also help us finish the food. I cannot believe that this is too much food for this room of people who have not had dinner. And in future, we'll probably do pizzas again as well. But thank you guys so much for coming. And now we break off for the open conversations. Thanks so much. Oh, and if anybody has feedback for us being, Sharon, me, Jin, Rei Shuen, the organizing people behind this, please let us know as well. Thanks so much.